The numbers for May 2020 just came out and we are rebounding really quickly. Stay tuned as I break down these numbers for you. Promise you, it'll be worth it. Good day, Toronto. Welcome to another episode of Prime Property TV. So glad you could join me here for this month's Market Watch. The numbers for the entire month of May came out and I'm going to break that all down for you. I'm not surprised at the rebound since we've been kind of tracking the numbers on a weekly basis with a fairly consistent upward trend. But as promised, I was going to give you guys the weekly COVID-19 numbers, but I'll put them on this video for you, but I'll be very brief about it because I do want to spend most of the time on this video talking about the monthly numbers. So I won't go too much into details, but if you want to take a look at the weekly numbers, you can pause the video right here and then you'll kind of see what the numbers are. Ultimately, what I would say in summary that happened last week was that there's a lot of listings that came out that aren't accounted in the monthly numbers, but at the same time, a lot of sales came out. So everything is going up even more than what the monthly numbers look like, and it's contradictory to CMHC's 18% downward spiral. Now, so you can pause these videos anytime to look at the numbers, but here they are. Here's the inventory numbers, here's the condo numbers, here's the town numbers, semis, detaches, and I'm breezing off through all these because again, it's gonna basically confirm what we're seeing in the monthly numbers in May, okay? So here are the numbers you'll be seeing in the headlines, okay? Sales are down 53.7% to around 4,600 sales, and the average price is up about 3.1%, to about $846,000. There really isn't too much to look into these surface level numbers because again, these numbers are comparing a year over year. And you can't really compare last year's spring to this year's spring because, COVID-19. Well, one thing I will note is if you look at the year to year comparable numbers, in April, the first full month of COVID-19, and I was talking about in previous videos for the stats, we reverted to prices 1 year ago. So you can see over here, I put here that both 2019 and 2020 average prices were around $820,000. Now, if you look at the price in May, you can see that we increased 3%, which looks very nominal, almost kind of weak for Toronto standards, relatively speaking, but it's not, okay? And I'll tell you why. I'm gonna break it down for you on a month-to-month basis to show you what kind of recovery this actually is, and it's bigger than you actually can see on the surface. So here are the numbers, okay, when we compare month to month. So this month to last month. You can see here that we got 55% increase in sales, which is good as it means the activity in the market is picking up, which is kind of what we've been seeing on a weekly basis. We also got 47% more listings. This is the key part, okay? Because right now, if you take those two numbers, it's telling us that we're getting more sales increase than we are getting listings. There isn't enough data point to kind of determine why, and as talking to other people, some would argue that these sellers are holding back right now, which I believe is kind of true anecdotally, but some also argue that the desire for first-time home buyers to get into the GTA market is greater than the fear of COVID-19 and any market crash for a lot of young families, so they're jumping in. But I believe that a little bit less, but to each their own. That's something for you to decide, not for me to convince you of, okay? But the numbers are showing that the sales right now do definitely trump the listings and we are going lower on a month of inventory kind of statistic, okay? Now, if you look at this, the increase in pricing, we saw a whopping 5.14%. This is huge. If you analyze that, that's a 60% increase year over year. Obviously, it's not gonna hold up, but it shows you how substantial that number actually is because last month in COVID-19, we dropped 9.1%, okay? Month over month. And now we're at a massive recovery and we've covered more than half the price already in 1 month, just 1 month. Like I always say, like during uncertain times in the last few episodes, this is not a blanket statement for every property. Every neighborhood is different and the micro markets are behaving totally differently, and I'll get into that shortly. But if you like videos like this, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the PPTO channel. Thanks, okay? So now I'm gonna talk about the micro market of each region. And I've put all this month to month kind of change in a chart over here for you to see so it's easily digestible. Let's go through the 416 numbers first. The two shocking numbers you can see here are the detaches and the condos recovering more than 10% of their value from last month in April. So in April, I went through the numbers and they fell the hardest. To see they recover this quickly is a really, really good sign. Also a little bit freaky, like it's rebounding really fast. But if you actually break down the numbers, some kind of the ways we've been doing it on a weekly basis, you'll see that the reason it's picking up is because the average price is increasing as the entry level stuff, like the lower price product in the condos and detaches, that activity is increasing. So these are like your condos in the $500,000 to $700,000 range, or your detaches in like the East York side where it's around the $1 million range. Activity is increasing. And now you look at the 416 semis in towns, you probably won't be as impressed. But this is because I've been telling you, semis in towns in the 416 have not been behaving like normal micro markets during COVID-19. If anything, they're behaving like pre-COVID-19, so that to see an increase of this much on a month-to-month basis is actually very impressive, okay? All in, it's good to see that the activity has picked up quite substantially in all of Toronto, especially to see that the condos are increasing activity like 60% or so. If we continue to see this for the next, like call it 2 to 3 months, we could probably see the market reverting back to normal. But of course, you have to keep in mind the macroeconomic factors such as unemployment rate, lending policies, and when the mortgage deferrals are going to dry up, because they will. And I've explained that in a previous video. I'll put a link in the description that'll be over here. You can click on the I to watch it. It'll be in the top right corner, okay? So now we're going to go into the Nano 5. This is kind of like a mixed bag average, so it's very hard to explain since, it's very city specific. As the Nano 5 includes properties like, $1.5 million detaches in the York region, $1 million homes in maybe the Peel region, $500,000 to $800,000 detaches in the Durham region and the Hamilton. So it's really hard to pinpoint an average. And this is exactly why I don't track it on a weekly basis. But what I can tell you is this is what I'm seeing in the market. Properties that are under $700,000 in the Durham and Hamilton region, I'm seeing multiple offers, especially if they have a finished and legal basement with a separate entrance. This is also true in Brampton for properties under $1.2 million. They're coming out and they're being picked up right away. However, the York region detaches kind of like never really recovered from the 2017 and the 2018 dips before COVID. So we're not really seeing that level of activity in that region. Properties are still moving, but it's like closer to a buyer's market than it is a seller's market, okay? There's more inventory in the 905 like York region. This is why you don't really see much of a price change on a month-to-month basis, but you do see an increase in activity across the board in 905 because buyers are looking again, okay? Now, of the buyers I'm working with, I can say that they're more, like right now, they're more serious than what I would normally see because there's like a lot less tire kickers because, to see a house right now is a lot of work. You have to put on a mask, put on gloves, follow any COVID-19 showing protocols just to get in the house. And sometimes they restrict the amount of people that they go in. So this is a good sign for market recovery. But remember, these numbers are showing a bullish recovery, but you still can't predict what's going to happen because like if we have the consequences of like a second wave or monetary policies changing or the mortgage deferrals drying, like I was saying earlier, could drastically change the market like that, just like we saw it in March, okay? So if you are looking to buy or sell, do account for these factors by working with a good realtor that understands these things like myself, okay? Now, my final thought to you on this video is this chart over here, okay? It shows our months of inventory since the start of 2020. So we started off in January with a big bang and February even bigger, and the months of inventory was 1.7 and 1.2 respectively, which is records low, okay, like really low. March was like half COVID, half not, and it was still a very strong market. Then you see the April numbers that we jumped quite high because it was the first full month of COVID. But now we get to May. It's the very balanced market when it's between 4 to 6, and May, right now we're down at 2.5. which is kind of the norm for Toronto. The reason you're seeing these numbers, like I was saying before, they are low because there may be less buyers on the market, but there's also a lot less properties for people to be buying as well. So some food for thought for you. But ultimately, I'm optimistic about the numbers that we're seeing from last month, and I think it's a good thing that we're seeing this kind of rebound. So if you are thinking about buying and you're looking to see what a deal, quote unquote, is right now, I've created like a constantly updating list that I call the hot list on what I deem a good deal for me personally, and it's probably good for you guys. So it's on a first come first serve basis, of course. So you want to check it out, I'll put a link in the description below. I've created this list because, everyone's version of a deal is different right now. But if what I'm thinking is a deal to you, you can pick it up right now. So this will be my top 10 picks right now, and you can click on the link description below to see it, okay? I hope this was helpful for you guys. Remember, stay safe, wash your hands, and until next time, your move, your future. Now that you're done watching this one, how about this one? Oh, you know what? This one's good too. Ooh, this one's really good. You know what? Just watch them both.